Time is money, especially for MSPs. You're focused on delivering services, growing your margin, securing your clients. But when legal contracts slow you down or expose your business to risk, it's not just a headache, it's a liability. That's why we're here talking today about how MSPs can scale safely with legal protection that's fast, affordable, and built for the IT channel. I'm joined by Rob Scott, CEO and co-founder of Monjur, a platform that combines attorney-supervised templates with AI legal assistance to help MSPs stay protected and compliant at scale. Rob's going to walk us through the vision behind Monjur. He's got a great demo lined up, an AI-powered assistant that's going to be really great for us to see. I'm so excited to check it all out. Rob, thanks for joining me today.
Caleb, thank you for having me.
Awesome. Well, let's dive right in. Rob, can you tell us how Monjur really came to be in the first place? What was the gap that you all saw that Monjur now fills?
The issue for us was by 2020, I had about 175 MSP customers that I helped to develop their customer contracts. And in those days, we would develop a template of documents, customize them for each client, and email them to the customer in Word, and that was the end of the engagement. By 2020, some of my clients were already moving to web-based terms and conditions, and we realized that it wasn't a big leap to go from web-based terms and conditions to cloud-based terms and conditions that we could dynamically update and embed in our clients' CRMs and quoting tools, and that's when we decided to build Monjur as a cloud-native, dynamically updating contract solution for MSPs. And 3 years ago, that was a really cool thing.
I think what really sets Monjur apart from my viewpoint is that it's not just any startup out here. It's founded on your decades of experience of serving MSPs, which leads me actually into my next question. What are kind of the most common legal blind spots or risks that you see MSPs facing as they grow?
Well, the risk landscape for managed service providers has evolved tremendously since I've been representing MSPs for now over 20 years. And the risks that they face come from all directions. They're often asked to be responsible for the criminal acts of third parties, whether that's ransomware, malware, or other criminal acts of third parties. When customers of MSPs are the subject of these crimes, they frequently point the finger at the MSP and want the MSP to pay for their injuries. Secondly, vendor risk. It plagues the MSP because every time a vendor does something that hurts a customer, the customer points the finger at the MSP. When the MSP goes and looks at its contract with the vendor, it realizes that it has no recourse against the vendor for an injury to a customer. And so once again, the customer points the finger at the MSP. In addition, we now have a whole regulatory compliance challenge that faces MSPs that may do business internationally or across the United States. And they have to deal with this patchwork of data privacy regulation, both international, federal, and now emerging state laws. And so when you think about the pillars of risk that face MSPs, it's a cybersecurity risk, it is a regulatory compliance risk, and it's a vendor-created risk. Those are the key things that we focus on protecting our clients against.
And just naturally where MSPs sit, they're right in the middle, right? And so when you're in the middle, it means you can take fire from a lot of different directions. So I think my next question, right, I want to get into talking a little bit more about Monjur. It's clearly more than just a legal template library, right? What are the core services and technologies that's setting you apart from traditional law firms that MSPs might be looking at?
Well, I would say, first of all, Monjur is a B2B SaaS company, and it's structured like a B2B SaaS company. We have sales, business development, onboarding, customer success, and legal support is a category of our SaaS platform. So if you think about the traditional legal service, it occupies a very narrow portion of our delivery, which is obviously critical. but our system is built on template libraries customized for each client and then dynamically updated. And we use our smart hyperlinks so that our clients can embed their agreements in their CRM tools, on their websites, and in our AI platform, so that all three get dynamically updated as we make changes to the agreements. So as we update your contracts, your quotes in your quoting tools and your CRM get updated automatically. Your website terms and conditions get updated automatically, and your AI legal assistant, Monjur Pilot, also is updated automatically, so it is always context aware of your current legal agreements.
I think that is a huge selling point for MSPs. And honestly, if it were built for anybody, I think it's a very exciting tool overall. But specifically with MSPs, right? Does Monjur fit into the sales and quoting process that they have to go through? How can partners integrate it with proposal tools or use it to accelerate Redlines and onboarding?
Well, let's start with the proposal tools.
Yeah.
Monjur links live within the proposal or quote templates. One way to think about it is Monjur turns your quotes and proposals into enforceable contracts. We do that by embedding those smart hyperlinks into your quote templates as an Exhibit A, a schedule of your online terms and conditions presented to your customers for signature with your quote. So there is no separate process for sales and contracting. Sales and contracting is consolidated into one online step, and that's what reduces so much of the friction. Now, if you have a client that asks questions or wants to change something, Monjur Pilot assists you with those red lines. So our MSAs now come fully equipped as knowledge bases. So we've converted all of our Monjur templates, which were part of our cloud native offering, into knowledge bases for AI. What that means is instead of having one limitation of liability in the agreement, it ships with 4. So that when your customer says, I don't like your limitation of liability, you have 3 other pre-approved options to present to the customer without checking with legal. We've already approved these fallback clauses. They're part of your knowledge base, and now your new AI legal assistant, Monjur Pilot, walks you or anyone on your team through those red lines. What's really cool about Pilot is it's an attorney supervision platform, which means the lawyers are still watching and supervising all of the activity of the chat. So we're monitoring and supervising as you're redlining, and we only intervene if something goes wrong. But in the steady state, you've got the ability to redline your agreements with our legal assistant anytime. We've got feedback from clients that are doing it at nighttime, wake up in the middle of the night with a concern about legal liability, and chat with Pilot and get your answers.
I think there's a lot to digest there, but something that really stuck out to me was that when I think about the data sprawl, when it comes to all the different things we're keeping track of, operating procedures, different things, this sounds like it consolidates a lot of that when it comes to, contracts and making sure everything is done kind of by the book, right?
Absolutely, and it goes well beyond contracting. Our newest library that we've launched for AI is called Client Management. This has all of the routine correspondence that MSPs might otherwise get from their legal department if they were a large company. Now the AI legal assistant has attorney-drafted templates that the assistant can walk our clients through for onboarding checklist, offboarding checklist, termination notice, suspension notice, collection notice, all of the things that have a legal intersection with respect to client communications for the MSP and their client. Those letters now are being written in seconds.
Brilliant. Love it. Here at the Channel Company, we use the term solution provider as kind of a catch-all for, MSPs, ISDs, VARs, lots of different things, right? Ultimately, who is Monjur built for, though? What kinds of MSPs or solution providers are the best fit for it?
Monjur was purpose built for any IT service provider that's offering recurring revenue services. So our breadth of libraries includes core managed services, which I'll refer to as monitoring, security, backup, the things that are core to managed services, but also get into a number of ancillary or specialized services, including compliance as a service, AI as a service. So we have service attachment for managed AI, for managed compliance, for surveillance, for access control, for pen testing, for security alarm monitoring. So you get the point. If you're in telecom, if you're in managed security services, if you offer core IT managed services, then Monjur is purpose built for your business, and you'll find a high intersection between our standard libraries and the documents that you need for your business. If, however, you are outside of recurring revenue services and you're in the IT space, for example, maybe you're a reseller, then you're only selling hardware. Well, then Monjur is going to be overkill for you. It's going to be like taking a fly swatter approach with a bazooka. So, but if you're in IT services and your offerings are recurring, then you'll find a library that we can customize for you and deploy an AI legal assistant that's been trained on your business. And the feedback that we get from our now approaching 900 MSP customers has been phenomenal. We now have 172 of these AI legal assistants working for our MSP clients.
Along that line of thinking, where is Monjur available? Is it US only, or do you support international MSPs as well?
Monjur's contracts are written for the United States, English-speaking provinces in Canada, and Quebec, which was our first French translation of our U.S. documents. We also support international MSPs that have business dealings or customers in the U.S. for which they want to use U.S.-specific agreements.
Any plans to expand, or can you not talk to that?
We have an international distribution partnership with SureWeb, and we plan to expand throughout the world as part of that partnership and have our contracts translated into languages around the world and to partner with local law firm experts to help deliver the services.
Awesome. I'm sure we'll hear more about it in the future, but I'm taking it back to right now, right? If I'm just learning about Monjur, can you talk me through how it actually works behind the scenes? How do you do this, attorney drafted templates, the AI assistants, the fallback logic? How does that all come together?
So if you think about it from a maturity level perspective, when we get a new client that's an MSP, one of the first things that we're doing is trying to think about where they are on their contract maturity journey. Many of the MSPs that we talk to still don't have adequate legal protection. The base sort of, do you have the right agreements in place for the services that you're offering? And are they purpose-built for managed services such that the risks that are common to your business are already taken care of before you even see the first draft? Many MSPs say that they hate dealing with lawyers because they don't understand their business. Well, when you see the Monjur agreements, you'll see that they're purpose-built for your business. So think about getting protected as our core priority. Once the clients have good agreements, then we start thinking about level 2, standardization, efficiency gains, reduction in friction, avoiding human errors in the process. That's level 2. We use our cloud approach with the smart hyperlinks embedded into their quotes or proposals to get our clients to level 2. Level 3 is what we call contract intelligence, powered by AI, context limited, supervised by attorneys, and integrated with your key business systems. And so we're starting to take our early clients through that level 3 journey. And as I said now, 172 of them are starting to enter that intelligence phase because they're using the AI legal assistance to power questions about contracts, drafting of correspondence to clients, as well as redlining agreements to empower sales to grow revenue fast.
I can't tell you how frustrating it can be when you get into a meeting and you spend half your time trying to explain what it is you even do instead of getting to, the part of it where they're helping you out and doing the services they offer. So it sounds like Monjur kind of, jumps over a lot of those steps. You're already built for all of it. But I want to talk about the next really fun part of this conversation. I'm really excited to hear more about Monjur Pilot. Tell me, what is it and how is it changing how MSPs handle contracts?
Well, Monjur Pilot is an AI platform that's attorney supervised, that is large language model agnostic, that's based on our legal libraries for MSPs turned into knowledge bases, and that's trained to act like our lawyers. So we trained Pilot on hundreds of interactions between our lawyers and our clients on phone calls, through thousands of attorney support tickets. And so we trained it not only to answer the technical legal question, maybe like an LLM would, but to learn from all of those discussions that the actual experienced lawyers had, and to train the model and the legal assistant to talk, explain, and act like a real lawyer. It also includes a proprietary enrichment protocol that takes a flat legal agreement and turns it into an AI knowledge base that can empower legal workflows, including answering questions in plain English, providing jurisdictional variance information. We have a market commentary associated with each clause. And the magic and the secret sauce is the alternative clauses, which allow you to automate redlining.
You have lots of other tools like Copilot and ChatGPT out on the market right now. Tell me, what are the potential dangers of using something like that for legal advice, or using it in a similar way that maybe somebody might use Monjur Pilot for?
This is the question that keeps me up at night. The thing I fear most is that my clients will use these open systems in lieu of using Pilot, because those systems are closed in terms of, ability to supervise. They're prone to hallucination. They're not anchored on your agreements. Even if you load them in, there's still a very high risk of hallucination, drift, and loss of context. And most importantly, if something goes wrong, there's nobody to make it right. You're definitely not going to be able to go after OpenAI or Anthropic for giving you bad legal advice. So what we're trying to do with Pilot is move our clients away from open systems, but give them the full ability to use those open systems through our dual LLM approach. So what we offer is the ability to work in a supervised mode that's context limited, that is limited only to what's in the RAG, and is based on confidence scoring. If the confidence score is high, you stay limited to the closed system. If the confidence score is low, Pilot allows you to get into any LLM you want, build whatever you want, and then submit it for attorney review. So think of Monjur as the lawyer in the loop for AI-generated content. We just want our clients to use Pilot because we're supervising all the chats. We know when you go into a territory that is not very safe, we show you that it's not safe, and then we make it easy for you to get a quick in-app review.
That's fantastic. I love that balance of flexibility, but also protection that you're offering, right? But you mentioned a couple other things in your answer there. Specifically, you talked a little bit about hallucinations, and I want to dive into that even more, right? Contracts are high stakes, language very important to get correct. So, what does Monjur Pilot do to reduce the risk of hallucinations or inaccurate responses?
First is architectural. When you move from a RAG, when you move from an open system to a RAG-based system, you pick up about 30% accuracy. So an open system is going to hallucinate about 30% of the time, and a RAG-based system is going to be closer to 8% of the time. 8% is still too much for legal. So that's why we invented a confidence scoring system, so that when the LLM is not 100% confident in the score, it doesn't answer. It can't hallucinate. We trained it so that it's not capable of hallucinating. And then we still supervise every chat with lawyers to make sure nothing falls through the cracks. And with the 172 bots that we have deployed, my product team reports they've identified 2 sort of hallucinations that they've escalated for resolution.
That is a pretty strong track record. My last question here before we get to the demo, I hear a lot about AI replacing, this and that. At the end of the day, does Pilot replace the need to ask to a lawyer? I'm probably gonna answer. I'm probably gonna guess no. But ultimately, when should you escalate to human counsel when it comes to some of the legal issues you might be running into?
What I would say is this: if you need legal services, you need a lawyer. If you like AI, get Pilot. These are not alternatives. It's not like, do I use a lawyer or do I use AI? That's not going to be the future. The future is all lawyers will use AI. All clients will use AI. What Monjur is building is the communication layer based on AI agents to support our clients through our legal assistants. They become the conduit between our clients and our people. The bot knows who to escalate to. You just tell it, I got a question about accounting. I've got a question about support. When it comes to legal, our confidence scoring algorithm tells the customer when they have to get legal review versus when the output is sufficiently anchored in the KBs and the knowledge bases such that legal review is not required. And even then, that just means real-time legal review is not required. If you do that in the middle of the night, your lawyer's going to review it in the morning when they get to the office.
Perfect. All right, let's bring this thing to life. Can you show me Monjur Pilot? And maybe if you have a use case example or something like that that can really help us dive into, how this works and see it in action.
So Monjur Pilot, we refer to it as AI plus real lawyers. Why? Because this isn't a system that presents you an option between using large language models for legal workflows and hiring a traditional law firm. This is an AI-powered platform built by lawyers, monitored by lawyers, and managed by lawyers. The coolest thing about it is that we have all of the analytics and everything that people are doing, and that when we build your bot or your legal assistant in Pilot, we are creating for you a custom AI legal assistant. You see, these are the OS instructions. Your company. You can see it's anchored to our legal libraries. Never speculate, draft something custom, or provide commentary. So we're training it to be context limited to our templates, which then become knowledge bases within the system. So if you see here, These knowledge bases are what keep this closed system context limited. And then what we've done, as I told you, we've converted our traditional MSA into a knowledge base in the platform. We also now, I can show you how we integrate our smart hyperlinks to keep these knowledge bases updated. So this is that smart hyperlink that I was talking about. When your agreements update, your documents in your AI legal assistant also update. So that's the structure. And then if you want to, I'll show you kind of what it does in real life, because I'm going to copy this bot and show you what it looks like on the user side. So what you see here is the other side. What I was showing you before was the administrative side that we monitor. This is what the MSP sees. And if the client pushes back on any of your online terms and conditions, Monjur Pilot is available 24/7 to answer any questions that you have. And again, that legal assistant that I showed you the OS instructions for and those knowledge bases now will show you, here's what the current clause says, right? Clause ID, MSA, limitation of liability. And it's asking you, would you like to look at fallback options? Yes. To help you negotiate, why don't we increase the cap from 6 months to 12? Let's look at standard fallback options from the KB. So again, once you turn flat agreements into AI knowledge bases and enrich them with alternative clauses, now your legal assistant acts like your attorney and helps you walk through any questions that your clients may have or drafting of specific language. And it gives you the options in very simple, easy to understand terms. Do you want to increase the cap? Do you want to remove the insurance proceeds? Do you want to change the carve-outs? These are the common things that get negotiated on a limitation of liability. I specifically chose this esoteric and highly complicated clause to demonstrate the complex capability of the legal assistant. And you'll see that 1, 2, and 3 are listed in the favor of the MSP. The legal assistant is trained to always protect the MSP. So the first option presented is always the first fallback that gives the MSP the next best position legally. And so what you can see here is, in addition to walking you through the red lines, you can also draft things. So you can see it just walks you through.
Yep. Wow.
And again, here's the confidence score.
Yep.
So if this confidence level is not 9 out of 10, it also shows the reason that this confidence score is so high.
Cool.
All right. And then it gives you the proposed fallback language here, asks you some clarifying questions, and ultimately will help you draft all the edits and revisions that you need.
And this is just as simple as using any other LLM out on the market, but with everything that we just talked about, right? In terms of the closed ecosystem, all these, different things. The confidence score here, really, really interesting. It's so anybody could pop in and use it, right? So
yeah, there's really no training. We have deployed, as I mentioned, 172 of these bots, and aside from like typical login and access type issues, everybody knows how to use a chat.
Yep.
And that's all we need to do here. And here's a common question for MSPs. I have a client that hasn't paid. Can I terminate services? Because they're always afraid that they're going to get sued if they cut somebody off.
Yep.
So this is, tells you here exactly that you can turn them off.
And that was a prompt. You just asked it a question, got the answer. You didn't have to write an email, wait for an explanation, or, dive in, try to find the file. This was all just ready to go at a moment's notice, basically.
That's correct. And,
awesome.
And this next thing that I'm going to show you. So again, legal correspondence templates, legal letters, just drafted in seconds.
Everything you need to keep things moving forward, keep your business moving forward, not waiting, downtime, with communication. Perfect. Love it. Rob, that was fantastic for you to show me. I'm really excited to see, how we're using these different technologies to help MSPs keep moving forward. I guess my question for you, if I wanted to try this tool out, could MSPs get their hands on this right now?
MSPs can get their hands on it right now. You can schedule a demo with Monjur. We'll get you set up. All of our Monjur subscribers receive access to Pilot. It's part of our standard subscriptions. We did not decide that our AI was going to be a new product or something else. We bundled it with a number of other services, including dedicated account managers and office hours with the lawyers every week. So it's not just an automated platform. It's not just templates. It's not just AI. It's not just lawyer support. It's support for your success in escalating your maturity from comprehensive legal protection to contract intelligence.
Amazing. Before we wrap up, anything else you'd like to add about Monjur, about, AI, about, everything we've talked about today?
The AI revolution is here for managed services. It represents a huge risk and opportunity. My clients that are succeeding are having conversations with their clients about shadow AI, about automation, and about the opportunity to grow business in a way that's not linear to headcount. The MSPs that do that are going to thrive in this new era, and the MSPs that don't will struggle to retain and keep clients protected.
Brilliant. Perfect. Well, I think that wraps it up. I feel like this has been such a timely conversation for the IT channel. I hope that you at home got a lot out of this. Rob, thank you so much for joining me. If you want to find out more about Monjur, go to monjur.com and schedule a walkthrough with the team. For the channel company, I'm Caleb Owen.